And this is a huge trap that a lot of people have. A lot of people just try to get married from day one. Is this somebody that I want to work with long term or not? If not, then probably better to just rip the band-aid and move on. If you're like miserable about somebody that's on your team, like what's the point? A lot of people just try to get married from day one. They fall in love with somebody who was really good at their interview. All of a sudden you start buying them their computer that they want and all this stuff, and then it'll only take you a couple of weeks and you're like, wait a minute, this is not the person that I married. So you got to date before you marry somebody, have an initial period. And for us, it's usually 60 to 90 days. Usually pretty quickly, within a couple of weeks, you'll to tell based on their traits and their characteristics, is this somebody who's sustainable? And I could tell right away for us people who join, I know pretty certainty, is this person going to be sustainable with us? And
yeah, no, trust your instincts there too, Sam. You're 100% correct. And I like the dating analogy. Although it's been a long time since I've dated, I've married 43 years, but I have children who are dating. And the concept that you pretty soon, whether that person is for you, going to be something that or someone that you can count on for long term. So the same is true in hiring. Trust your instinct. If you don't have that feeling pretty quickly, don't wait around.
Yeah, maybe. And within that 60, 90-day mark, I think it should be pretty indicative of, is this somebody that I want to work with long term or not? If not, then probably better to just rip the band-aid and move on.
And look, it's also true for the person that you're hiring. That it gives them time to assess whether they feel they're going to be a fit in your organization. And you'd rather give them the opportunity to bail out sooner rather than later when you have a defined, clear trial period.
Yeah, life is short. And if you're like miserable about somebody that's on your team, like what's the point? So what's the point? You got to enjoy who you work with.
It's so true. I mean, I can't tell you how many attorneys I've heard bitch and moan about people they have on their staff. And I'm like, well, aren't you the boss?
People have a hard time moving on. Number 4 is failing to define the role clearly. And this is a huge trap that a lot of people have, especially if you get upset at a lot of people on your team. It usually means that their role isn't clearly defined, or to have a mix of roles, or there's crossovers of roles. Everybody needs to be very clear what is their position, clearly exactly what's the position title, and with clarity, what are the 3 to 5 things that they're in charge of, and then what's the goal of their role. Ideally, numerical goal. Your role is to take care of 20 clients per month. Your goal is to onboard 20 new clients per month. Your goal is to sign up 20 clients per month. See how you can define every role into some kind of numerical divided by a number of months so that it's clear, hey, you could do whatever you want. As long as this one goal that I want from you is accomplished, then we're golden. So make sure that is very clear for them and clear for you, so we're on the same page.
Yeah, as the leader of your organization, as the head of your firm, this is the bare minimum, frankly. If you're going to manage a team, you got to define what role everybody on the team has. I mean, imagine a sports team, a football team, a baseball team, where you don't have roles and responsibilities defined by position. You just have people running around doing whatever they want to do. It's not going to be a successful team. And same is true in law. To me, it's the bare minimum as a firm owner when it comes to hiring. You have to be able to find what the role and what the job is of the people that you're hiring. Simple as that.
Great. Let's go to number 5, which is overvaluing credentials over capability. Okay. Focusing too much on the resume, what school they went to, where they worked, because ultimately you're hiring a person, not necessarily where they worked. And for me, the last thing I look at is what school they went to, exactly what company they worked at. I'm looking for the intangibles in a job interview. Something that me and my directors always talk about is little signs early on, either in the interview process, the post-interview interaction, the onboarding process. How did they come off? Some things that I look for in a job interview is their setting. What does their behind them look like? If it's messy, major cause for concerns. If they're not in the right put together, they don't take care of themselves, concerns. If you don't have a good handle on yourself and your surroundings or your own surroundings, then signs. Those intangibles, I think, are probably more important than the typical stuff that people expect. A lot of people especially these days, can use ChatGPT to improve their resumes and make it look much faster than it is. For me, I'm trying to look beyond that, look beneath the surface. How do they speak? Do they speak too much? They're talkers. Can they share something? Can they provide proof and links for what they're talking about? Those kinds of things I think are crucial versus their past credentials.
Yeah, I think we fall into a trap as attorneys if we're hiring attorneys, okay? Looking at those credentials and overemphasizing those credentials versus what type of team player that attorney may be on your team. For non-attorney positions, I think we've all seen folks who are book smart versus street smart. Many times, I want that street smart individual over the book smart individual because they're the doers, talkers.